Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to talk about something that I don't talk about all that often. If you've been following my channel, you know that I absolutely love animation. Some of my favorite movies of all time are animations. I grew up on mini cartoons, Johnny Bravo, Ed, Edd n Eddy. Well, the reruns of Johnny Bravo. You know, I didn't technically grow up when Johnny Bravo was coming up, but Ed, Edd n Eddy, and all of that stuff. Dexter, SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, Samurai Jack, the list goes on and on. The original Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. I grew up on animation, and I often think that, and personally believe, that animation has limitless potential and because to me, filmmaking, CGI and special effects have come very far to the point where you can tell some insane stories. I mean, you don't have to look any farther than Endgame and Infinity War to see that. But still, there will always be this, until at least for now, there will always be a bit of you that's like, okay, this is still special effects. As great as a special effect is, this is still special effects. There'll always be a budgetary concern that you can't push it but so far. And even though animation isn't cheap, especially good ones like Pixar and whatnot, it still is easier. It's still a lot easier to animate a huge set piece than to get a bunch of people together, do CGI, and to get all the cast together. You literally, hell, I watched the little documentary, and I know some people are gonna laugh at this, on the making of Frozen, and I wasn't watching it to see Frozen, because I was so enamored with Frozen 2, which wasn't that bad. But I was watching it to see the process of them making animated stuff, and when you see that like half the cast wasn't even in the room, wasn't even on set to do their voices, it kind of lets you realize that like they don't even need to get these actors in the room; they just need to show them the script. So it's like that's how animation kind of lends itself to have more surprises, to just be able to do more. Like it's nothing for someone doing like an animation to legit get someone, a huge name actor, to come in and do a voice, and do a voice at their home, and that's just the nature of the beast. But I always loved animation. But growing up, I was a cartoon guy. I like things like Jake, Drake, and Josh, and there were all the reality shows with real people. I didn't mind the old school sitcom Sabrina. I didn't mind That's So Raven. Like, there were shows like that I didn't mind. But generally speaking, I was a cartoon guy. I was the cartoon guy. That's all I like. I liked animation. I liked the different styles. I liked the different voices, the characters that you could build with it. But, and occasionally, and for a long time, even when I was in high school, I would occasionally go back and just take a look. And Cartoon Network had this weird thing where all of a sudden they start having, not a renaissance, but like, you saw things like The Regular Show and Adventure Time and things of that nature. Because Cartoon Network had a stretch where it was just crap. Like, well, not crap, but just nothing that memorable. No one remembers Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Nobody really remembers Camp Lazlo. There's shows like that it's like, if you watch cartoons like I do, I'm basically a goddamn cartoon connoisseur, man. I could tell you a lot of cartoons. You put it out there, I'm like, I've seen that. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen it. But like, I noticed, but then, and like, there was like this weird stretch of time where Cartoon Network was just throwing things at the wall, while Nickelodeon was just kind of doing reruns of like the same stuff, and just not letting SpongeBob die, and not letting Jimmy Neutron, Fairly Odd Parents die. Which, of course, ironically, Jimmy Neutron got canceled. I never knew that. I say all of this to kind of just set the table for you for what I'm about to say here. So you get my love for animation and cartoons. And one of the big exciting things was when Disney Plus came out, that we were going to get to look at some of those old cartoons. And the irony about Disney is, Disney really hasn't been able to compete with these other with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network I'd say in the last 10 years, 15 years, because SpongeBob hit like SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents, and then you had over there at Cartoon Network, Adventure Time became a huge success. And Regular Show, which honest to God, Regular Show is really good. And it's really good because it's one of those shows that's like secretly made for adults, because there's a bunch of jokes and innuendos and gags in that are like, that is not for a kid. That would go right over a kid's head. A child would not understand that joke you just made. I mean, but because like every once in a while, I would just switch to the regular show and it'd be something, they say something and I'd just be like, yo, how did they get away with that? But I digress. Like, but Disney, all they had was Phineas and Ferb, because Gravity Falls, I still haven't even seen that yet, though some people have suggested it. I still haven't seen that yet. Never made it as big as Phineas and Ferb. It was like this cult thing. They got a couple cartoons, but nothing big. But in Disney, in about the last 4 years, they made perhaps the best animated show I have seen in the last 15 years. I say this is the best animated show in the last decade. I believe that the writing on this animated show is damn near flawless. The guys behind this know what they're doing, and they even did something that a lot of cartoons can't do. They rebooted a classic and made it better, which is insane. I am talking about Disney's rebooted DuckTales. I watched the original DuckTales when I was a kid, Darkwing Duck and all that, and those were fun. Those were fun. They were just crazy, adventures, and especially the Darkwing Duck. There's some highbrow comedy in that too. But it wasn't like, even when Disney Plus came out, one of the things that you did was go back, watch Gargoyles, watch all these reruns of old shows that you watched when you were a kid. And I did the same thing, and I went back and looked at a couple Chippendale, Rescue Rangers. Just went back and looked at all this old stuff I watched when I was a kid. But when I saw that, but then I saw that reboot, and I was so bored. Like, it had to have been about a month or two into Disney Plus's release. About a month or two. I done watched all the Mandalorian had finished. It had to be like a month or two. The Mandalorian had finished. I had pretty much rewatched all the animated classics that I wanted to rewatch. Mulan, Treasure Planet, Atlantis. Rewatched all the animated stuff I wanted to rewatch. Watched all the Marvel movies I wanted to rewatch. Endgame popped on there eventually. Watched that. And it came to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to check out this animated. And I'm going to check out this cartoon. Because, like I said, I rewatched, some of the old stuff, like, DuckTales stuff. And I was like, oh, that was cool. I wonder how this reboot is. And I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And I watched it. And almost immediately was like, this is brilliant. They literally make everything that's better. I've never seen that before. I don't think I've ever seen something that's a classic that people love have a remake that is so superior to the classic that you're kind of like, wow. Because this remake does everything. First of all, it solves multiple problems that no one asked. First of all, no one really knew why the hell Donald had these 3 kids. It was a vague setup. He just had 3 freaking kids who he called his nephews. You didn't know what the mom was. You didn't know the relation. There's just these 3 kids. He's called his nephews. I think they were dropped off at his freaking door. That's it. That's it. And DuckTales barely even had, Donald was in it, but Donald really didn't do anything in it. He was just there, did a couple slapstick things while Scrooge and the kids were up to all no good. And even in that original one, the 3 kids were just inseparable. They were like the same character, except in 3 different outfits, except 3 different colors. And that's clearly a toy design so that they can sell 3 different toys, so that they can sell multiple different toys. But there was no actual character. It was just fun. There was no actual there wasn't really a story per se, except whatever adventure Scrooge was up to. Scrooge was the selling point of the DuckTales franchise. And everyone else was just kind of there. Donald made an appearance every once in a while. But, that was basically it. Hell, even and then they made this character named Webby, who was just basically a little girl duck, so that they could sell little girl duck toys. That was it. That was pretty much it. And it was very simple. But the remake, it's almost as if the people who made this grew up like I did watching these and went, that doesn't mean, ooh, but like they made their own fanfic that to make sense of all the nonsense, to be like, what if such and such is why this happened? You know what I mean? Like, what if? Because, spoiler alert, they did something really creative and really creative. Like there are points when I'm watching this cartoon that I'm just like, you guys do know you're writing this for children. Like, Like you guys do know that this is supposed to, because you guys are putting way too much effort and way too much thought into this, that I'm like, dude, this is too good for you to guys be wasted. Are you guys gonna go write something else? This is too good. Like, honestly, I find myself thinking that while I'm watching this thing. But I digress. If you are a fan of the classic well, not DuckTales, but Darkwing Duck, they did something unique. Once again, there's something that never occurs to you as a child. You never even asked that question. Hell, I didn't even think to ask it until I saw it. There's a character who's in both Darkwing Duck and DuckTales named Launchpad. Now, Launchpad's just this driver. He just, crashes shit. He's a fun-loving guy who has some skills, but can't land. So that's his whole deal. And he's in both of them. That doesn't sound odd. But the fact of the matter is, he never mentions Scrooge or that town, and I can't remember where the hell they are, but it's far away from where Scrooge is. And it's never mentioned. It's never mentioned why he's there. We don't know why he's there. We don't know how he's getting back and forth. It's just some bullshit. It's just like, yep, that's a thing. It is what it is. And there's multiple continuity issues that make it seem like, okay, well, these two shows aren't technically together. And, it's not like it's continuity issues on purpose. It just didn't care, and it's for kids, and you're not supposed to think about it. And I was like, you know what? That's what that is. But these guys thought about it. And in this world, Darkwing Duck is a cartoon show. And they got the original voice actor from the old 90s cartoon to come back and voice the same character in a cartoon show of Darkwing Duck that eventually became an actual character that Launchpad in this show. It gets so meta. I mean, there's an entire episode where they basically make fun of gritty reboots, and they have someone playing basically the Duck version of Christopher Nolan. They didn't say it, but the scarf, the hair, the little cardigan, I was like, okay, that's Christopher Nolan. I know what you're doing, man. That's Christopher Nolan. And then he did the dark Duck Returns or whatever, and it was it's supposed to be like a parody of the Dark Knight Returns. And they do stuff like that. There are jokes and gags and stuff that's just this is some highbrow comedy to just have in a show like this. Such deep cuts as well. So they try to make sense of things. Like how Scrooge is so goddamn old. And when Scrooge was created, it was it was a long time ago. But when Scrooge was created, it made sense. I think they say Scrooge was supposed to be born in 1870. So when he was created, it made sense. But now it's dude, he's over 160 years old. But it's played up as a guy who's oh no, he just finds so much shit. He eventually found something that made him immortal. Like I said, this is so good. And even the way they do the certain ducks. Before this show, I could not have told you the difference between Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I couldn't have told you the difference. I'm just oh, I get it. All their names rhyme. Whoa, okay, cool. But just freaking colored, color-coded freaking little ducks. But no, they are all different. Each one of them is so different. The oldest one, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Yeah, Huey, the oldest one, Huey, is the shortest one. He wears red, and he's he's the smart one. He's, he wants to follow the rules. He's the strict, stick by the book older brother, and he has a hard time, and he feels insecure because he's not the biggest brother, and he feels like he has to protect his other brothers, and that's why he's always freaking out. He's the worry ward. And the middle boy Huey is this freaking adventurer. He wears blue. He's always hyperactive, always ready to go jump into something. He's reckless. He's headstrong. He's headstrong. A little bit of a screw loose in that one. And then the youngest one, Louie, is my spirit animal. He is calm. He is cool. He is chill. He don't want to do anything. He doesn't even want to go on these goddamn adventures. They just keep dragging him in. He would rather sit on the couch, eating food and watching TV. He would rather do that. And literally, he's just I just get dragged to the shit. Literally, multiple times, they're just we're going to go do this crazy thing. He's just I really don't want to, but they're the adults, so I gotta come and do this crazy shit. I love it. And they're so distinct from each other that at a certain point, you're just it does help that the voice actors they got to play the three the three brothers are pretty funny people. Like those are like SNL alumni and like people who've been in multiple hilarious movies. I can't remember all their names off the top of my head, but one of them was in Park and Rec, and another one like they've all been in things that and hilarious. And like with the fact that you got these three hilarious guys to voice the three ducks, it's just fantastic. But they even went a step further and answered the question of who the hell their mother is, and actually had an emotional backstory to the disappearance of the mother, to they have arcing stories that have individual arcs for all the characters. It is way more thought put into this thing than any other cartoon show, at least that I've seen in a long time. Now, like I said, there are a couple shows I haven't seen, but this one, it's up there. Like I said, it's up there, dude. Like in terms of like the arcs and whatnot and the character growths and the different things, like there was like, man, there are some heartbreaking things in this. And they actually, like I said, they finally acknowledge Scrooge's, oh, thank you. They finally acknowledge the boy's mother, who's named Della Duck. Which is like vague, you never really heard about her. You vaguely heard that Donald had a sister named Della, but you never heard anything about her. Turns out she's this badass adventurer who got stuck on the moon. Like I say, this show answers so many questions that make so many things make sense. As Lin-Manuel Miranda, aka Hamilton himself from Hamilton, voicing freaking Gizmo Duck. Like it's just a lot of things. They even have they have shout outs to Astro Boy. They have they just keep going, man. Like, and they reinvented old characters from the past. They've done so much. Like, this show is the shit. I'm telling you. If you like, it's such a show. And the thing is, the only reason I could get into it as much as I can, and why I'm so excited about it, I know what you're probably thinking. Like, it's a freaking cartoon show. You're a grown ass man, should be that into it. The thing is, if you are like me and you grew up watching the old cartoons and you have fond memories of them and you remember them, it's for you. If you grew up watching the old Disney cartoons, it's for you. Because you're just going to get a kick out of just the callbacks. You're going to get a kick out of all the stuff. You're going to get a kick out of the ways they put spin on old things that you like. By the way, I didn't mention David Tennant is also voicing Scrooge McDuck. Yes, the Dr. David Tennant. Yes, Kilgrave David Tennant. Yes, that charming son of a bitch. Like, David Tennant is charming as hell, and it's crazy they got him to voice Scrooge McDuck. It's just like I said, that's kind of crazy that they got him. And occasionally, you get to hear Donald's actual voice, and he's voiced by Don Cheadle. Yes, Donald Duck sounds like has a deep black voice. That's what Donald sounds like. And like I said, it's pretty funny, and even like. It's just, like I said, I don't want to get too much into it because, I don't want to make this video overly long. But I genuinely think that the Disney reboot of DuckTales is the best cartoon show I've seen in a very long time. I think it doesn't get enough praise. It doesn't get the same attention that Adventure Time. It doesn't even get the same attention that a lot of other cartoons get. I've seen Black Nerd. There's a couple YouTube channels that I know, big channels who mention it, but they really don't talk about it. But if you want to check it out yourself, it's the first episode, I believe, is free on Disney Plus or on Disney. You can go look it up. And there's a couple episodes they have on there for free, like little samplets. And the first episode is on there for free. But I'm telling you right now, it's a damn good show. Like, especially if you grew up like me watching the old stuff. So it's almost like this is a perfect show to show to your children. And like, because you can watch this with them, they can get a kick out of all the craziness in it. But if you grew up like me, you can get a kick out of all the other humor and the callbacks and the stuff, because you're just like, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. Oh, that's fun. That's how you did that. I like that. Wow. Like I said, it just caught me off guard how well written and well thought out this show is. And even when you think so occasionally they have just random one-off things, but even when they do that, it's got a point, things come back around, it's not the end, there's a story. These guys know what they're doing. But if I had to give at least DuckTales a rating, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's, like I said, I think it's the best cartoon in the last 12 years. At least 12 years. Thank you guys for making Game Movie Show. Please really like, subscribe. And what is your favorite cartoon from your childhood? What is the cartoon from your childhood from long ago that you remember so fondly and you remember enjoying it? And that you wouldn't even be ashamed to watch it now. I don't think you should be ashamed to look back fondly on your past. I don't think you should be ashamed to look back fondly on things that you watched in your past. I think that a lot of times, like, people try to kind of put you in a box where it's just like you gotta let that old shit go and never even mention it again. Because I noticed that I'll just be talking to people and like they just be like, "Oh, what's your favorite cartoon from when you were a kid?" or "What's your favorite show from when you were a kid?" And they can't even answer that damn question because I guess, like, you know, society has told them to just push that shit so far out of their brains they can't even remember the time when they were young and having a good time. And it's just like, I don't remember that. And it's just like, oh, come on, man, don't kill the child. Don't completely kill the child. Put the child away and then let them out in appropriate times. But don't murder the child in you. What is your favorite cartoon of all time? What's the cartoon that you watched when you were a kid? Thank you guys for joining me on Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe. See you in the next one.